When we're dealing with division with complex numbers, what we're really doing is we're multiplying the numerator and denominator by the complex conjugate because we don't want that imaginary number in the denominator. So what we're going to do is we're going to take, in this case, the top and bottom times 2 minus 6i. And the reason that we do this is because as the denominator, as we figured out before, it's going to turn into a nice real number, so no imaginary number, and it's okay to have an imaginary number in your numerator. So in the numerator, I'm going to FOIL it out to get negative 4 plus 12i plus 14i minus 42i squared. And of course that 42i squared would turn into plus 42. The denominator would turn into 4, and then minus 12i plus 12i, which of course will cancel, and then minus 36i squared, which of course turns into plus 36. So my new fraction is 38 plus 26i over 4 plus 36, because these canceled out, which is 40. And just like any other fraction, I see that they are all even, so I'm just going to divide everything by 2, and I'm also going to break them into 2 parts. So if I divide 38 by 2, I get 19 over 20, and then 26 divided by 2 would of course be 13 over 20, and then I. So that would be the correct format for the final answer. Same thing for the second one. 1 plus 3i would be the complex conjugate of the denominator. We don't care too much about the numerator. So the numerator is 1 plus 3i minus 8i minus 24i squared, which turns into plus 24. The denominator gives me 1 plus 3i minus 3i, and then minus 9i squared, which turns into plus 9. So that leaves me with 25 minus 5i over 1 plus 9, which is 10. Then I, of course, will divide or reduce each and turn it into 2 separate fractions. So dividing by 5 gives me 5 halves minus 1 half I. These two are also division with complex numbers, but as you can see, they're a little bit different. And so I could multiply by the conjugate, which is of course negative 4i, but it really doesn't make sense in this case. So I would just multiply the top and the bottom by I and go from there. So here that would give me 4i minus 3i squared over 4i squared. Now whenever I get an I squared, I'm automatically going to think negative 1. So of course that gives me 4i and then plus 3 over negative 4. So a couple of problems here. I don't like having a negative as a denominator, and I don't like that my numerator is in the improper order. So I'm going to move the negative either out front, which would be the easiest, which would give me, and of course on the top I'm going to rewrite as 3 plus 4i over 4. So this would be one way to write it. The other way to write it would be to distribute that negative to both values on top, so negative 3 minus 4i over 4. So either of these would make perfect sense. If I'm writing them again as a complex number, so not like this, that would be negative 3/4 minus 4i over 4 would of course reduce to 1i. So this would be the final correct answer. This one, remember that negative exponent just tells us that it's in the wrong spot. So it's 1 over 2 plus radical 2i, or I radical 2. I don't know why that I is in the wrong spot. And of course, I would then multiply by the conjugate of that. So 2 minus I radical 2, 2 minus I radical 2. So my numerator is 2 minus I radical 2. My denominator would give me 4, and then I'm not even going to write those two middle terms because I know they'll cancel out. But my last term would be I squared, and then of course radical 2 times radical 2, which is 2. So I squared is negative 1, so really this turns into plus 2. That leaves me with 2 plus, oh, just kidding, 2 minus I radical 2 over 6. Writing it as a complex number, that would be 1/3 minus radical 2 over 6 I. A couple for you to try on your own with division. So press pause, try both questions, then press play to check your work. Again, this one's the fairly straightforward one. I'm just multiplying by the complex conjugate. If I do it to the bottom, I have to do it to the top. Keep everything even. And that leaves me with, on the numerator, 10, and then plus 35i, plus 12i, and plus 42i squared, which of course turns into negative 42. My denominator, I end up with 4, and then minus 49i squared, which is of course plus 49. Notice I'm not even writing those two middle terms anymore because I know they're going to cancel out every time. That leaves me with negative 32 plus 47i all over 53. Written as a complex number, that's negative 32 over 53 plus 47 over 53i. And of course this one, easiest way out, just multiply it times I on top and on bottom. That leaves me with negative 7i over 10i squared, which of course is just negative 10. Those negatives will cancel, which leaves me with 7i over 10.